Hi, everybody. Welcome to Landlord, Tenant World, a production of HAPCO Philadelphia, the podcast for investment property owners in Philadelphia and beyond. I'm Brad Satin. We've got a pretty interesting topic today. We're talking about data and the Philly rental market. As we know, being a rental property owner in the city of Philadelphia certainly comes with some challenges. All the rules and regulations out of the city of Philadelphia don't always make it easy to be a landlord. Still, nearly half of all households in Philly are occupied by renters, and today we're going to talk a little bit about who those renters are, look at some of those numbers. And joining us is Doug Ressler. He is with Yardi Matrix, which provides a lot of data and insights for real estate investors, lenders, property managers, and those folks. Doug, thanks so much for joining us.
As always, a pleasure, Brad.
You're a numbers guy. You're a stats guy, right?
Correct. Yardi Matrix is a data acquisition company. We are a sister division to Rent Cafe, who actually wrote the article. We go out and look at different asset types for residential, student housing, self-storage, office, industrial, et cetera, et cetera. And we are sister divisions, and we're part of the larger parent organization called Yardi Systems, which is a software architectural firm doing accounting software for commercial real estate.
And you provide lots of great insights for all of us who are interested in this kind of stuff. We wanted to bring you on because Rent Cafe, in its latest report, I think analyzed 150, as they always do, 150 of the largest cities, and found that Philadelphia right now is one of the hottest markets for renters. When we talk about a hot market, what do we mean?
First of all, let me explain that Rent Cafe is a real estate listing company, and people use this service to be able to go in and research rental housing and look for different types of housing opportunities in rental. And it's 50 units and up. We deal with the big stuff. It's not the mom and pop stuff. So what we're looking at with this study is really those points of interest that people are looking for in terms of their rental search. And we did it by a couple different categories. Listing availability, in other words, how many listings do you have? Page views in terms of the actual person looking at it, how many page views they went through, the favored properties, what they put into their favorites classification, and then what they saved as personalized searches. So we analyzed all that to come up with a reverse engineering look, if you will, as demand. And Philly came out number 6 in terms of the country, in terms of the top 30.
Is this a trend? Is this a one-time thing, or are we going in the right direction?
Well, what we see is that there's a tremendous demand. It really started with the great financial crisis in 2012 that, not enough housing is being built. So you have exponential growth in terms of housing demand. Not enough single family housing is being built. And then you've added into it a pandemic and you've added inflationary interest rate escalation. And so what you have is you have people that need housing in the growing demand and can't find, can't afford, and isn't available, if you will. So it forces people into rental housing opportunities. The developers for rental housing have created an unprecedented amount of units coming on board this year and next year, over 500,000 this year and 500,000 units coming on board, 50 units and up this year and next year. Haven't seen that kind of magnitude in terms of existing stock since 1980. That's
Wow.
how far back it goes. So you have people that are renting longer, you have exponential growth in demand, and you have a housing gap that is continuing to widen.
And you mentioned this, but again, I think it is really important to note that, again, these reports are focusing on market rate properties, as you mentioned, of 50 units or more. We're not analyzing the rental markets of the small mom and pops, as you said, which are a lot of the viewers here in Philadelphia. But I imagine there are some commonalities that make this information important to the little guys.
Sure. I mean, whether you're in Fishtown or Conshohocken, you've got properties that people are looking for. They want to be able to choose based off of their needs. And it's not just a matter of housing, it's also a matter of community. What does my budget afford? Do I go into work every day? Do I go into work at all? Do I remote work? And what is my transit oriented type of development? You see a lot of that in downtown Philly right now, that a lot of properties are being developed or converted along access for transit orientation. And so that's all important in terms of what people are looking for to be able to, A, maximize their budgets, but at the same time, look for those things, not just for housing, but things that add to their housing, community, grocery, retail, et cetera, that they can adequately do a research on to be able to come up with the most optimum type of selection of properties that they would choose to rent it and live in.
What kind of amenities are renters after these days? What are they looking for?
Number one is they're looking for safety. It's left unsaid, but they want security in terms of their buildings. They want to be able to have excellent remote Wi-Fi interconnectivity. They want to have a business center in the building itself so that if they choose not to go into work that day, they can access. That is becoming very large. At the same time, there are also, in some instances, looking for a kind of advanced type of gym or physical workout rooms. We had Jefferson Apartments is a big developer out of DC, and they just built a property in Boston, and what they put in is a whole boxing gym. Developers are doing that now because with that influx, that surge of new properties, it's a consumer's market, number one, but landlords have to be very competitive. They have to be very competitive oriented to be able to attract renters, retain renters, and give them the type of things that they are looking for.
You know, it's interesting because you were talking about all this growth, but I also read that there is a 2% drop year over year in the number of listings in Philly. It sounds to me there are fewer listings, yet we're seeing growth. What does all that mean?
It means that it takes a while to roll out this new product. It just doesn't roll out automatically. So what you're seeing over the course of the next 18 months is you're seeing this surge roll out. It's going to provide more stock, but it's not immediate. It'll take time. There's a lag effect of about 18 months.
Philly is number 6 out of 150.
The number one city is Detroit. The number two is Washington, D.C. And what we see is those are very progressive cities in terms of having a large population of folks, whether it be techs, whether it be academics, whether it be service workers who need access to transit, within 1 mile, 3 mile radii. Those type of cities, large urban core cities, gateway cities is what we call them, are very prone to this type of demand and this type of search procedures, that rental activity that give us the ratings for the metric.
You know, one of the things we watch is how rent prices change over time. And I was looking at Rent Cafe. The average rent right now in Philly, and again, we're talking the big guys here, about $1,900. When you look back a few years to 2021, it was about $1,670. So you're the stats guy, not me, but I think we're talking about in about 3 years, a rent increase of 14%. At a time when we're talking about affordable housing and the lack of it here in the city of Philadelphia and across the country, is there concern?
Right now, the supply is increasing. It is a consumer market. It will continue to be a consumer market for the next 2 years. However, what we see is because of the interest rates and the cost of money that starts, not completions. You've got so much in the pipeline right now that are going to complete over the next 18 months, like we talked about, making it a very consumer-friendly market, and you'll continue to see decelerization of rents going forward. But what is going to occur is because developers right now are pulling back, they're not starting as many apartments because it typically takes 36 months to be able to create a 50 unit and up, whether it's garden style, mid-rise, high-rise. And so what you're going to have is this cliff coming in 2027 and 2028, and you're going to risk having a bump up, if you will, in rents at that point compared to what it is in 26 and 25. So there's a cliff coming, and that's what we're trying to warn developers about.
How much impact do city councils, rules and regulations have?
Lots. That's a technical term. And the reason it plays out is because most of your zoning and permitting is done at the city or county level.
You're the data guy here, so I think we're going to be counting on you again, Doug, for more information. If folks want to learn more about the insights that your team provides, where can they go for that information?
They can always reach out to me, doug.ressler@yardi.com, or they can go to our website, www.yardimatrix.com, and search there.
Doug Ressler with Yardi Matrix. Thanks so much for your time today. Interesting conversation. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Brad.
And thanks everybody for watching. Again, I'm Brad Satin. This is a production of Hapco Philadelphia, and we will see you again soon for future editions of Landlord Tenant World.